I get it. Not everyone can become a business owner. Not everyone is actually called to be an entrepreneur. We still need a few people to actually be working 9 to 5. So this is just a reality. I do get it. So you are absolutely not wrong in wanting to remain in a plane working 9 to 5. However, at the end of the day, what keeps the economy going and what keeps human being going is something really key that you must find in yourself even as an employee. And once you find that one key thing, you're going to find yourself in a place where you're unlocking what I was called infinite potential. All right, this is something with the key you don't want to miss. Dimitri here, let's get right into it. Two key principles I would like to put on the table before we go any further. The one key thing that every business owner, every CEO, every boss need to have, which is described as the secret sauce when it comes to success as an entrepreneur, it's called communication. The same thing is required when it comes to how to live a very successful relationship as far as marriage is concerned. So it's about communication. But at the very root of this thing called communication, whether you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or an employee, there's something key that you must also have, which I would simply call the secret sauce to successful living. Do you want to know what it's called? It's called dream. A CEO, a boss is supposed to be good at communicating the dream to the people around him, the people around us, so they can go on to execute when it comes to the vision they are seeing. The vision is filled by one key thing, the dream. In a relationship, even if you're working just for someone, in your department, in your team, in order for things to actually go well, yes, you need to be able to communicate. But what you need to communicate effectively is the dream of the CEO of the organization, the dream of the VP of this particular department. And when you go to your own home, you must also be able to have a dream. And in your dream, you must be able to come up with a vision. And that vision must be communicated to the people around you. And that dream is precisely the one key thing that will keep the economy going, whether it is at the macro level or at the micro level, when in your place when it comes to your home. And this is really key. And why this is also key? Because the dream is simply what I would call the fuel that keeps the engine going when money seems to become an issue. It's the fuel that keeps the engine going even when there seems to be many obstacles around you. It's the fuel that keeps you going. Without that fuel or without this electricity that keeps the battery of your electric vehicle, what's going to happen is sooner or later you're simply going to find yourself stranded without any strength to go. So this is the reason why I simply say you need to have a dream. And the key question I have for you tonight is, what is your dream? What is your dream? There is a gentleman in France by the name of René Descartes. A few years ago, he simply says something really key. He says, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. You know when I actually use this sentence when it comes to my client, I say, it goes much bigger than that. It goes much further than that. It's not just a matter of thinking and therefore you are. It's also a matter of doing the following thing. I dream, therefore I am. It is the dream that causes us to keep on finding ways to make things better as far as life around us is concerned. Without the dream, very quickly we are simply going to disintegrate as a society. So you need to have a dream, because at the end of the day, even if you're working for somebody, you have to keep this in mind. You are much bigger than the paycheck you collect at the end of the month. So without a dream that's going to keep you going, once you stop working for somebody else, once you start working for somebody else's dream, you're going to simply find yourself stranded, because you're going to realize that, my goodness, I never had a dream of my own. And because you were just riding on somebody else's dream, by the time that dream is taken away from you, that's when you're going to find yourself at a place where you are now becoming depressed. Before we get to that, let me just share two key principles that I believe are going to be vital when it comes to transforming your life. I'll give you simply two dates, 1812 and 1946. Let me go first with 1812. In 1812, as I was telling you a few weeks ago, this gentleman by the name of Napoleon Bonaparte decided to leave Europe and gathered around him what was described as La Grande Armée, or the super powerful army, to go invade Russia. Close to 700,000 people. As he marches towards Russia, he realizes very quickly he was in very different territory, because the Russian army simply says, you are going to invade us, and you are stronger when it comes to numbers. You are stronger when it comes to technology, but you are not going to be stronger than us when it comes to something key. The dream. Our dream is to remain as sovereign as possible. We are not going to bow to you, Napoleon Bonaparte, and we're going to find a way to stop you. What we know is you are very strategic when it comes to how you do this thing called warfare. But we're going to show you that life is about being good at this thing called chess. And we're going to see you something key. We're going to give you a checkmate today. What did they do? They said, we're simply going to start destroying every farm, every place where you can find provision to help your troops going. So we're going to destroy everything from Germany all the way into Moscow. So by the time you reach Moscow, there will be no place where your troop can actually find something to eat. Napoleon Bonaparte is advancing towards Moscow. He realizes that all the farms and all the barns are completely burned down. But he says, because he was being driven by ego, I'm going to find a way to stop these Cossacks. I'm going to find a way to stop these Russian people. So he marches toward Moscow, not realizing he was actually marching into a trap. He gets there, he realizes that, my goodness, it's an abandoned country. Nobody's around. The army is not willing to fight with me, and there is no barn, no place where I can actually get provision for my troops. Very quickly, he realized that, yes, this is basically a dead-end zone. I need to get back to Europe. It was what they called. And by the time we start marching towards Europe, what happened is the troops were not only hungry, but they were also cold. And those amongst the 700,000 troops that survived were the people that were simply able to develop something key, the dream. The ability to rise above their circumstances and to simply remember that, yes, above and beyond these dire circumstances, I'm dreaming about getting back to my place. I'm dreaming about sunny days. I'm dreaming about my family. And it was the warmth of the heat coming from this dream that kept them going, even when they were completely exhausted and completely cold and beyond hungry. Guess what? Those who failed to dream about better days, about warmer days, guess what? They succumb to cold, hunger, and desperation. And before you know it, they simply were left behind for the Cossacks to come and simply delete them. Why? Because they failed to understand the power of the dreams. And while this was happening, there was an amazing doctor that was also riding amongst the troops by the name of Dr. Beaupré. Dr. Beaupré simply says, I think I know what kept some people going. It was simply what he came to describe as the vital principle. The principle that gives life vitality is the ability to understand that life is looking for heat. Life is looking for a dream to keep your engine of your body going. Without that, you simply go to succumb to anything that's going to be contrary to what you're expecting as far as life is concerned. That was example number one. Again, the principle is called the vital principle, and that's from Dr. Beaupré. Example number two, in 1946, this psychologist and professor of neuroscience by the name of Viktor Frankl found himself in captivity in the Nazi camps. While he's there, is exactly subjected to the same harsh treatment by the Nazi troops. But before you know it, this gentleman rises to the top and starts emerging as someone who was almost possessed by a sense of vitality that left everyone puzzled. They say everyone is eating basically the same bottle of soup that added only a few peas at the bottom. But you are being subjected to hard labor. Where is this man getting the strength to keep going and to keep smiling and to basically be so strong as far as the day is concerned? By the time they start speaking with him and listening to what he was saying, and they realize one key thing, it was the principle. The man simply says, I'm not going to let the circumstances dictate how I'm feeling. I'm going to rise above the circumstances and start dreaming about better days. And I'm not waiting for life to give me a meaning as far as this thing is supposed to mean. I'm going to rise above the circumstances and give and assign meaning to what is happening to me. And because he was able to reframe what was happening to him, to give to his body, to give to his mind something to look forward to, the heat that the body was looking for, which was simply a dream of better days. Before you know what, it became much stronger. And as he starts sharing the story with people around him, guess what? A few people became as strong as him and found the strength to keep on going no matter what was happening to them. And by the time this was actually finished, this old thing was finished, he wrote a book simply called Man's Search for Meaning. And that book came to be an amazing success when it comes to literature and to help people reframe what they're going through and also find the strength to rise above those circumstances by simply feeding the mind something really key, which is simply dream. Let me just share with you a very key important story. In the early 1980s, at one point, my grandpa decided that he had an amazing business idea. So he came to my dad, who was at the time working for a bank, and says, I would like to come to your bank and borrow some money when it comes to this particular idea. The business plan looked very solid, and my dad simply said, yes, the business plan looks solid. Yes, it has some merit. So I'm going to drive you to this particular place deep in the province where you're trying to start this business, and I'm going to introduce you to one of the people that are working for our banks, and you're going to share your vision with them and to see how this thing is going to pan out. So we drove for about 3 hours in the car. Back in the days when there was no internet, there was no cell phone, there was no WhatsApp, there was nothing. So basically for 3 or 4 hours we were just looking around and listening to music, which was based at the time just a tape. The tape plays and right back and forth. But at the time I was simply mesmerized by the idea that my grandpa had a business idea that was going to go somewhere. We get to that particular place. We sit down with the branch manager, and the branch manager, because he knows my dad that was working for the bank, says, oh yeah, boss, thank you very much for coming in. So how can I help you? Next thing you know, they start talking with my grandpa, and he hears about the vision. As he hears about the vision, he realized that there was great potential as far as the vision was concerned. But there was just one concern. And at one point, when my grandpa was not looking around, he simply leaned towards my dad and whispered something that I happened to catch at the time. He says, but boss, your father happens to be quite old. He's in his mid-70s, and in this country, most people retire by the time they're 65. How can this thing be? I mean, it's not really going to work. Guess what? That gentleman, God bless his soul, passed away a few years later. And my grandpa, that was deemed too old to start a business, passed away when he was almost close to 100 years old. Why? Because life is looking for people with dreams. The dream is not there to replace your income. The dream is not there to give you a sense of starting a business. But the dream is simply there to give some kind of purpose to your life and to add years. To add years to your life. Without the dream, we are simply going to disintegrate, because the dream is the heat that keeps the mind going and gives the mind something to look forward to when you wake up in the morning. All right, before I stop, just one quick assignment. I'm not going to ask you to disappear for the next 3 or 6 months. But what I'm going to ask you to do is give yourself permission every single day to disappear and to go to your study, to go to your bedroom, or to go somewhere you're going to be quiet and just focus on one key thing. Focus on what the dream is supposed to be. Let me also tell you why this is important. In my capacity as a project finance consultant, when I see people coming to me with big ideas, the one key question I always ask them is the following. What is the dream? If someone tells me that the dream is just to make money, right there and there I simply say, no, I'm not interested, because I know that once money starts coming, you're going to drop everything and just disappear. What you pursue must be much bigger than money, and that one key thing must be the dream. Because I know that a dreamer, with or without money, are simply going to find a way to keep going. I know that a dreamer is someone that cannot be stopped by any negative circumstances. No matter what's going to happen to them, they're going to find a way to go through the obstacle, around the obstacle, or under the over the obstacle. Why? Because the dream is a hit that's going to be keeping them going no matter what. So give yourself an assignment over the next 3 to 6 months, every single day for 1 hour. Disappear and work on your dream. Who are you? What are your values? What are your beliefs? And most importantly, what is the purpose? What is the dream that you are here to actually manifest as far as your family is concerned and as far as the community is concerned? Because once you find out, my friend, you are going now to make a dent in the universe in the same way that Walt Disney made when he started dreaming about a better park as far as a place to take his family. And before you know it, he left us with something amazing, which is simply Disneyland. All right? Much love, everyone. I'm out. Again, the question is, what is the dream? Once you find the dream, my friend, you're simply going to unlock something really key, your potential, and become unstoppable. Much love.